Hey, hey, family. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody is doing amazing. This is an amazing day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us be rejoice and be glad in it. That's my thing for this year. It's a great day to be alive. I'm looking at everything that's going on, and I don't know how you guys stand it, but I do want you guys to hear something real quick for me. I'm going to play it on my phone, and I'm hoping I don't get dinged for it, but it just touched my heart to even hear it, and I just want you guys to see it. I'm going to put it on my phone, but I hope you guys will be able to hear it and see it. Just for a minute here. Let me just play this little thing up. George Floyd called out for his mother. Eric Garner said he couldn't breathe, brother. Tamir Rice, just a boy in the park with a toy gun. Trayvon Martin, Skittles in his pocket. Never made it home, they say justice, but we still waiting. Another life gone, another mother praying. Another candle in the wind, another hashtag trend. But the pain don't end. No, the pain don't end. Dreams, they were more than what it seemed. Man, you know what? That is really an amazing song. I'm telling you, sometimes it's so easy to forget. It's so easy to forget. But I'm gonna tell you what, you guys, getting out of America right now will be an amazing adventure. And there is things that you can do here to be able to eat. There's businesses that you can literally set up to do. And I would be making my way. I would be having my escape plan. If you're retired, you're over 50 and over, you can retire. This is an area where you can get your retirement visa. You can get a premium visa for 2 years now. I think they've extended it for 2 years. Or if you have money in the bank, you're selling a house, you have 15,000 in the bank or 25,000 in the bank, you can get your premium visa or your retirement visa. And then, of course, they have the working permits. So there's different ways of doing it. But we'll talk more about that. But today, I really want us to stay concentrated on the emotional part of moving to Africa. This is a huge deal that a lot of people are not even sharing with us. They're not talking about it because, everybody want you to think, oh, it's roses. Nothing is roses. I don't care if you're in America. I'm going to tell you, it's a whole lot better than America. So let me just say that, just doing that transition. But it's still an emotional. It's still emotional because let's not forget, we left family, we left children, we left family members, moms, dads, cousins, uncles, aunts. We left cousins, we left family. They are grown children. Yes, even though they're grown, they're still our children. And we don't want to leave anybody behind. But you have to have the vision. You have to hear the voice. You have to be obedient, really. And some people hear the voice, but their husband's voice is a lot louder, or their kid's voice is a lot louder, or their job voice is a lot louder. But Yahshua's voice has got to be the voice that you are hearing right about now. So let's talk about, I still have Miss Lorraine. I'm going to let her introduce herself. Thank you for coming, sis. I love you. I appreciate you for coming.
Yeah,
Talk about
yeah.
your foundation. Talk about the greatness of what you are and how you are, and what is all this for you. Let's talk about
Yes,
that.
yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me, by the way. And I love you too, and appreciate all that you do and what you bring to the table as well. I'm so thankful to have the Father cross us paths. Um, so, uh, my name's Lorraine, and I came here with my own business, Graceful Guidance. Um, so Graceful Guidance does a few things. It is my business, but it also has a ministry side, so it's twofold. With the business side, what I do is I help parents and families who have children with special needs and just need a little extra help. That might be maybe they want me to come into the school and help with an issue where there may not be some services that can come in. I know in the States, that can be tricky because a lot of schools don't want necessarily certain types of therapy, so they might allow someone like myself. Um, and then also, I help parents if they want to get on Zoom and do some parent training. A lot of times what I've noticed with that is that they just need a lot of encouragement. It could be something that's real easy to be fixable. Sometimes it's not. But we might have to take a little more time. Some sessions are quick, some are not. I do phone consultations as well, where I've served parents just over the phone. They just needed some legal help with special needs, because that can get complex. The system with special needs and guardianship and IEPs and all that jargon, all that talk that I know about can get a little complex. And sometimes that just requires a phone call. So I do that. I also work with women who are in transitional type settings. When I was in Charlotte, I was working with a group there that was helping women transition, and I was able to facilitate a trauma healing group, specifically Trauma Reboot, which is a workbook series for about 12 weeks, and you work through it and you work through deep traumas and you kind of stir up the bee's nest a little bit. But I love working with women in those places and spaces, because it gives me the ability to encourage them. And I've been there. And I've been in some of those places and spaces that some of these women are going through, not in all aspects, but enough to be able to understand where they're at. So that's the business side of graceful guidance.
That one, I just don't want to interrupt you, but that right there is good for here. That's good for now, because we need that now because of what we're going through and what we've gone through in America, and just being here. And that would be an amazing, and see, even with you talking, that's two businesses that you can create even working abroad. So if people are like, well, God, what can I do? Special needs is a need here in Africa. It's a place of need here. So go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm telling you, there's two businesses right there that anybody can come and do. I mean, especially if they have the gift for it. So that might be a thought for somebody. Special needs. I also saw like working with the elderly. That's another need. Okay, going into their homes, so you create a adult daycare center. So there are businesses here that need to be created. So if this is something that you're doing in the States, hey, why not create a business there? Name it, get an EIN, and bring it here. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
You did not. You did not. Not at all. And that's key too. Getting your business LLC so that you do protect it. I did do that before I left, so there wouldn't be any issues there. But the other thing, to your point about being here in Mauritius, that is something also the ministry side. I have made contact with an organization here, and it's really just in the getting contact infancy. So we'll see how I can serve in that way, because there is a ministry side to Graceful Guidance, and that is helping the homeless in whatever capacity, which is what I was doing back in the States. And I hope to do more of that here. It's a little bit more complex system. You do need to know local people in order to help you maneuver in that way and build trust. Trust is really important. And have boundaries as well. Because one of the things that I have seen happen with ministries is we are vulnerable to extortion and being embezzled. And so it's really important to be careful about how much you are giving, but making sure that you're not, that you're giving what they need as well, and finding that fine balance. Another aspect of Graceful Guidance is I do have a podcast that I haven't, I kind of put to rest just for the moment, called Journey Unto You. I've uploaded all my podcasts on YouTube, Journey Unto You channel. And Graceful Guidance, I have two channels, the Graceful Guidance Ministries, and then also Journey Unto You. Journey Unto You is specifically targeted for special needs families, parents, caregivers, and it's really just to kind of get your cup of coffee or tea or water, and while you're folding laundry, and just listen and listen to other parents. I interview other parents. There are interviews from other parents on there. There's days where I talk about ABA, which is a huge thing in the autism community. And I'm pretty raw about sometimes what it's like to be a parent with special needs. And it can be kind of awkward and kind of ugly and messy and embarrassing, and
Oh,
um, some days we just don't know what to tell people. This is what it looks like. So here we are. It's just, it is what it is. So I have a lot of podcasts about that too. And I'm going to be jumping back in more into that once I get a little more settled. So that's kind of what I do. I'm also on Facebook, and I upload. I do writings for Substack. So I do. I've been having more of following my journey here on Mauritius with that lately, but that's more of a personable walk as an individual woman, and kind of what I do day to day in terms of my movement here, being a special needs mom, and just touching on a lot of other different subjects. But that's YouTube and
And
Substack.
what was that one? What was that one? Because I think
That's
that was a good one also.
Yes, so that's just that's where I write. I have
Okay.
small excerpt articles, and I post them on Substack, and you can find them on Substack. You just go there and put in graceful guidance, and it should come right on up. So
Okay. And you said Substack. Is that a website or where's
it is
that? What would
it
that
is a
be?
website. Yep, you just
Okay.
Google Substack and log in there
How,
and
how are you
find
spelling that?
Substack.
Uh-huh.
It's SUBSTACK.
Okay. And that's .com.
Yes, yes. And it's actually gaining a lot of traction. When I just started a few months ago, it wasn't a very popular, uh, what's the word, site at all. And now it's just kind of sprouted, and there's lots of writers coming on there. Those of us who have a heart to write, and, that's our that's our niche, I
Wow.
just linked arms with Hebrew Homeschooling Network, which I'm really excited about.
Okay. Yes.
Especially being a vet homeschooler. I've homeschooled for over 20 plus years. So it's really exciting for me to start seeing the younger generations of women coming up, and brothers coming up and pouring into their families, and walking with the Lord on raising their children. So that's really exciting for me.
Yes, so that's the homeschooling. So that's another great thing to do here. So I'm hearing like four different things that you could actually bloom and blossom into. And
Yeah.
people are worried about business, they're worried about work, they're worried about that's four right there. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a blessing right there. And people don't understand if you come, you'll see what's needed and you use your gifts. They're there
Yes.
for a reason. But
Yes.
we're so afraid to even come, because it didn't work for you in the States. Well, we knew why it didn't work in the States. It wasn't meant for you to work in the States. They can't even arrest a guy and convict him on a murder. When
Yes.
the little baby was running away from the man. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. I won't call him, but I'm gonna just be nice. But the young man was running away for his life, and he got
Yeah.
shot in the back. And they said, "Oh, it's self-defense." Well, what? Are we reading the same newspaper or did we see the same video? That's what I want to know. But that's what I'm saying. Come on, come from among, be ye separate and learn not. That's what the Most High told us to do. And we're holding on to America for dear life. But here you have a young woman that has four different businesses, four different, online businesses, hooked with the States. So come on, how could you lose? I'm hearing nothing but great things. That's starting here. This is an amazing opportunity for you to get in there and really to do what you've been wanting to do, but we couldn't do it because we're in the States and we had to have a job and we had to clock into somebody else's 9 to 5, and you weren't even able to do your business or do your gifts because you were
Yeah.
too busy fulfilling somebody else's. And that's what we do in America. We are so busy flipping somebody else's hamburgers at McDonald's that we can't even concentrate on our catering business. Okay.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
this is what the Most High put in us. That's our gifts. But we're working somebody else's gift. Why? And getting
Yes.
paid what, $8, $9 an hour for it? Are you kidding? When you could
Yeah.
be, creating your own business and having your own catering service and being the boss and training and teaching other people how to do that and still making the money
Yes.
that you make at the
Yes.
same time.
Yes.
I'm just saying this
Which
is
which would be
go ahead.
wonderful. If I had expendable money, I would actually start a food cart and bring our own food here. I would love
Yes.
to have a
What kind of
hamburger
food
cart.
would you think about bringing? What kind of food would you
Oh,
bring?
I would
What would be your
love to do
first?
hamburgers. Hamburgers.
Okay.
Yep. It's one of my favorite foods.
Okay.
and different types of cheeses. And oh yes,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yes.
I sure
Oh
would.
my goodness. I'm thinking about macaroni and cheese and the greens, and because they don't have greens
Yeah,
here. They don't have like
and
kale.
those
They
too.
don't have collards. They have a salad. They have cabbage. But they don't have like the collards and the kales. And I miss that, right? And I'm like, man, if they got a bowl of
Yeah,
greens, if they got a bowl of kales, honey, trust and believe me, they would never go back to that little what I
no,
don't
no,
even know
yeah,
what kind of salad that I had the other day. And yeah, I'll eat it because that's what's here. But I'm thinking, man, I'm gonna have to grow me some greens and some collards in the back, or I'm gonna have to put me some
I
kales out here
know.
somewhere so that we can have some real
Yes,
greens, okay, some real soul food. But
yes,
yeah, but
yes,
that's but
yeah,
that's so minute and so minor that we can even make that ourselves if we miss it that much. But I am just
yeah,
I'm proud of you. You getting in here and you making it happen. You are doing what the Most High put you on this earth to do, and you're loving every minute of it. Because I know working in the States, you're like, oh my God, I want to do this, but you're so busy, doing somebody else's, you couldn't actually, get
right,
yours going. And now you have time to do that. And that's the best
yeah,
part about it, making your dreams, and walking in your gifts and doing what the Most High put you on the earth to do.
yeah.
So let's see, what would you change if you could change anything from when you got here to now? You've been here. How long have you been here already?
Gosh, it's going on almost 3 months this month.
What would you change, if anything? And even change it for the best, or what's needed? What do you see that's a need? And what would
Mhm.
you change, if anything?
Yeah. Um, I came here. I came here pretty frugally. I came here okay. I was not uncomfortable with what I brought to the table financially, but it would have been nice to bring more, because I think
Always.
that helps. I think that helps with a lot of unexpected things that do come up, such as having to have a driver more than what you think, until you get your own transportation under uh, uh, sewn up, which here with us expats, not everybody has a car because a lot of us have left things. I know some of us have been able to purchase quads, which I'm so blessed to be able to have, because that is going to allow me to get some ministry things done that I wasn't otherwise able to do. And so I'm really excited about that, but that's not everybody's position, and some people don't want to get any transportation at all. um, so it's kind of about what you want to do.
Mhm.
So things like that, or just being able to just freely see the island and the expense that comes with that. Although it's not over the top expense, it's still an expense. And just being able to navigate a little more freely. I think giving yourself that room to be able to do that will make it a nice landing here. Um,
Mhm.
so that would be one thing I would change. The other thing I think I would change is I think nothing, because there's nothing I could have changed. Now that I think about it, some things have changed since we've gotten here. As you well know, you and I have had discussions about that,
Yeah.
such as the Premier Visa. And uh, now they've changed it to where, so you used to be able to come here, and this changed the week I got here. You used to be able to come here and get a Mauritian number. Now you have to have that visa in order to get the Mauritian number, which is a little complex because you need a Mauritian number in order to get your internet. So that's something that needs to be kind of taken
Looked at.
heavily into consideration before you come. Now, in an expat group, we can help each other out. We know how to do that. But if you're coming solo and you're not in an expat group, you are going to need to be able to have a way of figuring that out.
And I do believe that if you're traveling anywhere, get in an expat group.
Hmm.
Join a group. We joined
Yes.
the Journey with Us, and
Yes.
they were amazing. I mean, they had classes, they had where the different steps to get here. They prepared banking. internet, fingerprints. They told us everything that we were going to need in order to be successful here. You don't want to get here and then find out, oh, I need to do my fingerprints when I was at home, or I needed to do my bring my birth certificate or my marriage license or my divorce decree. I needed all of this stuff that I don't have now. Get in an
Yes.
expat, just like you would know. I offer a relocation. I help with people that's trying to relocate. I have
Yep.
consultations with people, helping them to know the steps. What do we do first? I
Yes.
email you, give you the printout as far as what to expect, what to do, banking, all EPN, EIN, all of this stuff that you would need, your fingerprint. I help them with all of that. This is stuff that
Mm-hmm.
you don't actually know. And you don't, where do we start? And you have to get with somebody so that you don't spend a lot of time, so you don't really spend a lot of money, because if we got here first and didn't have our fingerprints, now you got to really spend some money trying to, where am I going to go here for fingerprints that I need for the background check here? Now that's a whole nother story. But get with an
Yes.
expert group wherever it is you're trying to go. It's Kenya, if it's Dar es Salaam, is it Tanzania, whatever. Get with an expat group on Facebook and really ask those questions. And some questions, just watch the thread, because they'll answer a lot of your questions, but you have to get with somebody that's with feet on the ground, because, sometimes even, I work with realtors. I've worked with,
Yes.
finding properties. And, even some of these properties you go in, they look good online, but you may go in and they may have a sewer problem. One apartment I went in, I'm smelling the sewer. I'm like, well, hold on, what's that smell? I wouldn't have known that. They would have known that if I hadn't went boots on the ground to that apartment to see what it actually looks like, the area it's in, if it even was a house or not. And some say, well, it's close to Winters, and
Yes.
this one was far. I was like, well, how is it close to Winters? It was like right behind where I live, and that's not. I mean, I live close, but I don't live that close to where I can say, hey, I'm close to Winters. No, I have to walk at least 15 minutes to Winters. So that's not close to Winters, especially for a person if they can't walk, if they're older, and you have to put all of that into consideration. And how are you going to know where these places are located unless you have somebody on the ground that can actually go to those places and see, okay, where's the bus stop? Okay, nope, this is too far. You don't have
Yes.
transportation, especially if you're not going to get transportation, or if you're going to be on the bus line, you want to be on the bus line, you don't want to get here and get stuck in the woods and you got to walk half an hour or an hour to the bus stop, or it's back up in the woods so far that to walk to a bus stop is going to take an hour or 40 minutes to get there. Or if you get off on the bus and it's dark, you're going to be in the dark walking in the woods. No, so you actually need to know if it's close to a bus stop, is it close to a grocery store, is it close to everything, or what's the, so get with the expert, get with somebody that has boots on the ground, that can actually go to that place and say, oh, no, that's too far. Or you're going to need a trike, or you're going to need a car, or you're going to need a moped. Because a lot of people, we do trikes, we do mopeds, and we do cars. So it's really up to what you want, what you feel comfortable driving. And sometimes if you don't have a car, if you don't have a job, why do you need a car? You can do a trike.
Yeah.
We do a trike.
Yeah.
Or you do a moped. That's something different too. So you don't really need a car if you don't have a job. Why do you need to pay, spend all that money on a car when in fact you can get a trike and it's so much cheaper than a car? Okay. And it's electric and it goes, you can only go so far, but it takes you where you need to go. And then if you need to go further, for instance, if I want to go to Port Louis, which is an hour away, hour and a half away, then I can just get a driver or get on the bus. So,
Yes.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that you need to talk to, you do need to talk to an expert, to help you with the relocation process.
Yes,
That's what I would do.
absolutely.
I would never
Yes.
come to another city or another country for that matter and not be prepared and not talk to anybody, because we can
Yes.
tell you have transportation when you get here, when you come off that airport, you need to get that transportation before you get here. That way you'll know that you have somebody qualified or somebody that's not going to charge you an arm and a leg because you don't know any better, and they'll double, which they do, they'll double charge you. You
Which
don't want
is
to
a
pay
big thing here. It's a big
which
thing
is
here.
a really
You have to be aware of that.
they
Yeah.
will overcharge, double charge. They will,
Yeah.
and you already don't know what the money is. So when you hearing, oh, it's 19 rupees, you go, oh, what's that? And then that's like, that 19 rupees could be what, $50. Okay. So you have to understand
Yeah.
what you're dealing with. So don't just assume, this is why it's so important to get with somebody that's already here. That's for
Yeah.
your safety. It's really for you to save you a little money. Dealing with the local, sometimes I go, hey, give me the local price, give me the Mauritian price, don't give me the tourist price because I'm not a tourist, okay? And I'll say that, and then they, kind of laugh it off, but then you get a better price. You just have to know how to phrase it. Or I've even had people, and you had that yourself, for your driver to go in and speak for you. You get results also, Mauritian to
Yes.
Mauritian. So I've seen that happen also, where that driver was there to explain or talk of a situation, or talk about a situation, or kind of help with a situation.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
would have gotten totally different results if you had went there by yourself. So this is why
Mm.
I'm saying it's good to get with somebody that's already the boots on the ground, and that already knows people that can help you to maneuver. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
You have anything else you want to say on that?
No, I think it is a good idea to try to get, if you plan on getting a retirement visa or a premier, to try to get that even going, even when it's not approved yet in the States as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
At
Yes.
least get it started. Yes.
Yes. And I
Which
would tell
is,
them, yeah, do that in the States. I would tell them to start that in the States for the premium, because that's a 2-year visa. And then the retirement, make sure you're going to be here within 30 days. That's what I would tell them for the retirement. Because I
yes.
think they
Yes.
move quicker on the retirement because you're paying that $2,000. I think that's a little
Yeah.
quicker. So yeah, I
Yes.
would definitely do that from the States, and make sure you get your background check, fingerprints, and all that stuff. Um, Advice to people coming: what do they need to do coming? How do they need to be thinking? What's the mindset? How do we change the mindset? How do they change their mindset? Or what way are they supposed to be thinking when you get here? I think people get here, they're so excited, and they have the money, and they have a lot of it. Okay, because you've stacked some money before you got here, and you just giving money out. No, if you won't do it in the States, don't do it here. If you won't pay, if you don't, just get to know. Just I would say for me, when I came, I rented an Airbnb for 2 weeks. That way I
Yeah.
begin to know the area, begin to understand the people. I just wanted to learn the area first. Then I met with realtors, and then they began to take me around, and I began to see the different areas I want to live in. So the mindset has got to
Yes.
be: if I'm not going to do it in the States, I'm not going to come here and be brand new and think that people are so different here than they are anywhere in the world. People are people. And even more so when you come to another country, you still have to be very careful, of some scamming. You have to be very careful that you are getting what you're paying for, because I find out here, if you ask a question, you have to really dig to get the correct answer. Sometimes people
Yes.
don't know, and they'll answer you, and you'll think that they do know, and they didn't even research it. They just gave you the first answer that came to the heads, and you thought it was gospel, and you running with it, and you find out later, hey, that's not even true. Where'd you get that from? And they go, well, somebody told me. I'm like, no, do your own
Yeah.
research. Do your own research. That was the funniest thing that happened to us. And, but anyway, that's the story of another day. But always ask, and do you investigate? Google is your friend. Okay. Google is your friend, and you can ask more than one person, but really go to that website and look it up, because some people just don't know, and they don't want to tell you, I don't know. They don't want to look like they're, whatever, incompetent or whatever. But you look incompetent after you give me the wrong answer, and then I find out. So you're still looking. So let's not do that. Let's just go ahead and do the research ourselves and get the right answer that we need. Because,
Yeah.
some people don't know about immigration. Some people don't have a clue about immigration. Because I didn't know about immigration before I got here. I knew nothing about U.S. immigration. I didn't even know what to tell people to go look. I didn't even know what immigration building was, So a
Right.
lot of
Right.
people dealt with immigration, so they really can't answer questions as far as immigration. They don't know. They've just
Yeah.
like, we didn't know, from the States. So, but what
Hmm.
what is your thoughts on that?
Um, The same. I mean, I reached out to you, so I got a little bit of a feel of what I was kind of getting into, and also listening to Tiffy and Harold as well from Journey Unto Us. So my mindset was I knew that I was going to need to be flexible. And I also think that that comes with, why are you coming here? What is your foundation for being here? A lot of us felt led to leave, but then there are people here who don't have that mindset, and they just want to come to an island, and they've heard great things about Mauritius, and this is what they want to do. But even within that, you still need to be flexible. And when I came, I was cautiously optimistic. That was the best way. I didn't leave with all this excitement, because I knew that it was going to be a lot of change, and I wasn't sure how I felt about that. I have lived out of the country before. I lived in Japan for a couple of months when I used to do music. So I knew that long term it was going to be an adjustment. It was going to be rough. So I kind of was prepared for that. And this time I had a child with me, as last time I was by myself. I think you really have to leave room for flexibility and being cautious, and not unkind cautious, but definitely being smart about your maneuvering, and come into it with that mindset. And I was fortunate in that I did I did utilize your boots on the ground and had you go look for me, because that was really important to me. I didn't want to live somewhere that was going to make me unhappy, or, open up my window and feel sad, because I already knew that there was going to be an adjustment. So for some people like myself, the aesthetics of a neighborhood is important. And coming here to Mauritius, you definitely want to know what the aesthetics are of the neighboring areas around you. And like you said, how far something is, I had no frame of reference whatsoever. So where I live, you can walk places, but it is a little bit of a walk for somebody who may not be able to do a lot of walking. You will need transportation or a driver, but I can walk to places. But I kind of have a happy medium for myself, and where I'm at in my age and my physical abilities. But having said that, yeah, I think the biggest thing is a mindset. What is your reason for coming? Are you, you know, um, I think for me, I I did have a choice, but I almost felt like I didn't have a choice. Like, it doesn't matter if I like it or not. This is what I was told to do. And so I kind of came with that mindset, and I still have that mindset. Um, so because for me, I was struggling, and I was under a lot of stress back home. But to
Yeah.
be fair, I was building my business, and I was pulling back on hours at work so that I could kind of flourish in some other areas. It was slow, but I was in the throes of that, and I was content to keep doing that. So moving to another country just wasn't on my list at all. So, there's some people who want to retire and come here, and this is what they've been planning for a long time. So their mindset might be different than mine. However, I did see it as a learning experience, and I thought it to be a wonderful opportunity for my son, and getting a different perspective of the world and other people of color and how they live and traditions, and just a day to day that, no, not everything's like America, you know, and letting him grow uh, up with that a little,
Yeah.
having the experience, not grow up with it, but having the experience of the last few years that he's with me, having that experience. So that was, I looked at it in different ways, and for me to take a break from the States, as we've touched on before, that a lot of us are also utilizing this time, although we're working and doing online things and we've got business that we're handling, we are also healing from
Yeah.
different aspects of America. So having that mindset of just, I don't totally know what to expect, but let's just see how this goes. And just being open, just being open to a little inconvenience, being open to having trade offs, which
Yes.
you're going to do if you come live here. It is going to be a trade off on multiple levels, but not necessarily bad.
What are some of those trade-offs that you saw, and what are some of those trade-offs? Just maybe give somebody an example.
Accessibility, yeah, yeah, accessibility, convenience, um, variety, um, our independence. On one hand, we left our independence, but on the other hand, we're gaining a different type of independence now that is unfamiliar to Americans.
Right.
But certainly, I think one of the big ones for me is grocery stores and the trade-off with groceries, and kind of like, some of it's written in French and you're like, I don't know what this
Yes.
said. But at the same time, you kind of know because it looks a certain way. I'm like, well, I think that's what this is from the States. And then, I even have been in the grocery store and have looked up things on my phone. What is this? And, look up
That's
the
not me,
version.
Papa.
Oh, okay, that's what this is. And also, too, things are a little bit slower here. I think we've brought that up before, that things are about 30, 40 years behind here in Mauritius. And so in America, that's not so. We're used to Amazon, same day delivery, and that is absolutely not going to happen here.
Not here. No.
Yeah. No. I'm fortunate in that I have a landlord that is pretty quick to respond to the needs of those of us who are renting his properties. That is not the case for everybody. So I'm very blessed to have that, because that's just not the Mauritian way. So for example, I'll give everybody a present example. So they don't have garbage cans here that, like back home, where we sit out and the garbage man comes and he's on his way, right? Well, here they have compartments that are built into the wall where you stick. So on the other side, you can stick your garbage in, and the garbage man is supposed to open up the door and pull out the garbage. That way the stray dogs, which are another thing here,
which were a lot of dogs.
A lot of dogs. And so because my particular landlord hadn't had that set up, we were just putting our garbage right there out right the night before. And of course the dogs got into it, created a huge mess. And that's a whole nother thing. So he finally got the little compartment fixed and got it secured so people couldn't crawl in. So that's what his biggest concern was, is you can crawl in through those and go up into a property.
Yeah.
So he wanted to make sure that that was not going to be an opportunity for someone. So he got that all connected. But now the garbage man thinks that we don't have garbage. So it's literally today been 3 weeks that we've had garbage pickup. And today they came by and they sat out there in front. And I thought, okay, so they know now, because our landlord did go down to talk to them, speak with them. And I think he even sent an email. And they went about their way. So I went down there. Nope. All the garbage is still there.
Still there. Oh, wow.
So
now you have to see what time they come out and say, hey, come here. It's going to be here.
Yeah, it's very early in the morning. It's about 6 something in the morning. I was up and I saw them, but I didn't think I needed to go out because I saw them stop in front. And I went, okay, so they got the memo. No, they did not.
No,
so they didn't. I will have to talk to my landlord, but that's just kind of stuff what I'm saying. So back home, that's not something we would have to address, not really. I mean, there are places where it gets a little messy in apartments and things, and garbage can become an issue. But an overall, I'm not sure why they would come by a house and know that they're not supposed to open up I don't know. I don't know.
Especially when you know that people are living there, because they know people are living there. So now you're going to have to set your clock, and you're going to actually have to get up and meet them at the garbage bin and go outside, open it up and say, this is where it is. So from now on, can you please open it up? You're just going to have to go the extra mile. Yeah. You're going to have to, because they're not going to assume.
Here's the thing about Mauritian. They don't have a set time. They don't have a set time that they come. That's the funny thing. So when I got here, we were told that they come on Tuesday. They do not come on Tuesday. And I was told, it might be Wednesday. No, they come on Thursdays. And it could be anywhere from 6 in the morning till 12 in the afternoon. So yeah, It's a thing. So that's
So
welcome to
you,
Mauritius. That's one of those things that you have to kind of have a different mindset than home. Back
yeah,
home, we'd make a phone call and it would be handled.
yeah,
So
yeah.
not here.
This is a little different. I'm telling you, it's just a little different. Even with the internet, I was having a problem with the internet, and it literally took me 2 months to get it fixed. 2 months because my internet was going in and out,
Yes.
and it would drop calls, it would drop everything. It was just not holding. They came, I called, and the one lady didn't make an appointment, and then I called back. She said, "Oh, we don't have anything." Just like a week later, I called her. Hey, did you know when they're coming? They're supposed to come Saturday, or just confirming. We don't even have you on the list. Okay, so can you put me on the list? Well, you got to call back the number I called before. And actually, it wasn't that number, it was another number. Um, it was, I'm telling you, it literally took me 2 months to get it fixed. And then after they came, then they said, well, we got to order your box. And it took me another month to get the box in. And then they had to make another appointment to come out
Yes.
to bring box. So it was very interesting, but all this time, no
Yeah.
bill was going down. We still had to pay the same amount, even though it wasn't the
Yeah.
quality that I, wanted or needed. But you still had to pay. Nobody was saying, hey, we'll give you a discount on that, for your
Yeah.
services
Yeah.
being sucky for the
Absolutely.
last 2 months. Nobody wanted to do that. It was, hey, you still pay the same bill. We'll come out when we can, and but not to complain, but it's still those are minor things, that could be
It's that
adjusted. That could
flexibility.
be.
It's that
Yeah, yes,
flexibility.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
a deal
Which,
breaker. It's not something that would be like, oh my God, I'm going back home. No, we will adjust. I just know and understand that now I have to call several times to make sure that I'm on the list, because one person
yes.
will tell you one, another person will tell you something else, and another person. So you just gotta, okay, let me call fourth time. Somebody got to be right. Somebody, you just have to keep calling, just making sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they don't want to answer a whole lot of questions. I find out they don't like to
Yeah, they
answer.
don't. They don't like to do
They
that. That's
so
that's
they
their
want
culture.
you
I've noticed that too. Which
yeah,
is interesting because
yeah.
when I was on some of these websites before I came, like on Facebook and some of these groups, they're like, "Oh, just ask people. They're more than happy to help you." And the Mauritian people are really
It's almost
friendly.
like you bothering them. You in a grocery
Yeah,
store and I'm
you
asking
are
for
very much bothering
sour
them.
cream, and I go to the lady and I show her, hey, I show her a picture of sour cream. I'm saying, how do you say it in French? That's I use my phone a lot. I do. I use my phone app, the lens,
You found
because
sour cream?
yeah, it was sour cream, not sour cream, cottage cheese. I'm sorry, I get it
Oh,
mixed up.
cottage cheese. Okay, I'm going, what?
Yes, I
There's
found
sour cream here? Yes, for those
that.
Mexican lovers, they do not have sour cream here, as far as I know.
No, no, I'm not saying sour cream, but I had the cottage cheese, and I said, "Well, how do you say this in French?" So I looked it up, and I asked the lady, "Hey," but I'm telling you, the lady made me feel like I was bothering her.
Yes,
It was the
very
way
much
she
so.
answered me,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Well, I'm sorry to bother you." It was so funny because she said, "Oh, you're not." I'm like, "Well, that's not what your face said. I know your mouth is saying I did, but your face didn't say that." It was just so funny because her face was like, "Oh." It was like you was really bothering her, but it was
Yes,
so funny.
yes,
But I'm retired, so I don't have time to stress. If she can't answer it, I'll go and ask somebody else, or you'll ask one person, and he said, "Well, it's around the corner," or somebody will say, "Oh, we don't have it," and then another person will take you right to it. So those are
yes. And
things. But
that's that
hey, it
flexibility
is.
piece.
It's not a deal breaker though. It's just teaching
Yeah.
us how to do things a little different. And you're
Yeah.
not home. This is this is home, but it's home a different way. We're gonna learn how to do it the Mauritian way. US did it, like I keep telling people, I said, we're like 20 years, US is 20 years ahead, so you can't come here and think that, just like to mail a package, they don't have like the street, they'll have the street, but they don't have the
That's
building number.
another thing,
That's
yes, that people need to be
major.
prepared for.
Yes, you have to be prepared because a lot of these countries in Africa or overseas, I don't know how it is in Panama. I did visit Panama, but I never wanted, I didn't need the address because we weren't there long enough. But coming here, and this is before when I was here too, it was just the street address, no
Yeah.
building number. I don't know how they know. And that's why it took me, I literally lost my bank card, and it
Mhm.
literally took me 2 months to get a card. And thank God I had an extra card with me. It took 2 months, and they canceled it 5 different times. And they told me that it was because of I didn't give them the Mauritian number. I needed to give them the Mauritian number instead of the US number, but my bank gave them the US number, not knowing that they needed a Mauritian number. And that's what the holdup was. Until I sat down here one day, I said, hold on, it's got to be something. We're missing something. So I called
Yeah.
DHL. Hey, what do you need? What do I need to get this? Okay, I'm sending it, having sent from this bank. I'm sending it on this day. What do you need? A tracking number and a day. Okay, this is the tracking number when
Yeah.
it's going to be here. So I'm talking to the bank and the tracking and the DHL. What is it that I need to do? And they said, okay, you need to use your Mauritian number. And I had to call the bank back because they did it with my normal number again. And I said, oh, I need you to use this number. So I said, but don't change it on the account because still use my US number. It was a big deal. It was like, oh my God, but I finally got it, but I had to go and get it. I said, leave it there. Don't try to deliver it.
Yeah.
I'm coming to get it. So I did have to go down to Port Louis, which is like an hour away, but I caught the bus and I had to,
Yeah.
get my package to pick it up. But that's not a deal breaker. It's still,
Yes.
I mean, it's just so what? It was just a little frustrating because it took 2 months, but I had to just do my investigating work to find out what was the problem and found out that the bank was using my US number and they used the Mauritian number here. So that's another thought that I would have known if
Yes.
that didn't happen. So we're learning still at the same time. We're learning, maybe a little frustrating because you're like, why is it taking 2 months for me to get a bank card? But this is, these are things that we need to know, but it's
Yes.
still safety is everything to me. Okay, go ahead.
It- yeah. No, you had mentioned quality, and it made me think about, you know, if you are moving here and you want to come here long term, a lot of the apartments are already fully furnished, and that's something you
Mm,
need to be prepared for. You don't have to have it that way. You can request to not have it furnished, but a lot of them are, and they
yeah,
decorate differently than we do. And you have to be
yeah.
prepared for not necessarily up to your standards or your liking as far as decor goes. But that was something, again, I picked up on right away. As I started to see some of the apartments, I started to see they
Mhm.
do things a little differently than we do in the States.
Yeah,
But for
yeah.
me, it's nice to have that because I sold everything. So I was coming here and needed, um, you know, furniture and all that stuff. So for me, and my particular landlord brought in everything new. There was nothing.
Yes, everything was new. Yeah. I remember when I
Yes.
seen it, I said, "Oh my God, it's up to date." I said, "Oh, she's gonna love this." Because I went in some places, and I'm telling you, some of this furniture, I was like, you got that out the tray. And some of this furniture was terrible. And I was like, oh my God. But
Yeah.
but you can request for them to upgrade your sofa. You can request for them because mattress, everything comes. You have your dishes, you have your microwave, you have everything in the apartment. All you have to do is bring your suitcase. And that's why they rent more to expats and foreigners than they do to the Mauritians, because they already know that you're coming with just a suitcase. So they already have everything you need, and you just have to rebuy your sheets and your pillowcases and your pillows. That was for me. Um, that was for me. But other than that, everything was already here. You didn't have to, buy anything major. But like paying the rent and stuff, they do a VAT fee, which is a realtor's fee. If you
Yes.
use a realtor, you're gonna pay you're gonna pay for the month's rent, security, and the VAT fee. And if your
Mhm.
place is $1,000, that means you're gonna pay $1,000 for rent, $1,000 for your deposit, and $1,000 for that realtor. Now, if you get a place that you don't use a realtor, and that's why you need a person on the ground. If you get a place that you're not using a realtor, then you're only going to pay that 2,000, that two fees,
Yes.
which is month's rent and security, and not the VAT fee. So just keep
Which is
that in mind.
ideal.
Which is ideal not to have a realtor, but
Yeah.
also it kind of is, but it's kind of not because I've seen some shady things without the
Yes.
realtor that that they could scam also. So
Yes.
so
That's
it's
true
kind
too.
of good to
Yeah.
have that realtor too. I know you're gonna pay that extra fee. I don't know why it's the same as the rent, which it should have a cap, but that's a story of another day. But it is safer. It's safer. And I'm saying that because we did have an incident. And I was working, I was, trying to, I was with a realtor one day and we were looking, and she happened to we went into this house, and I was just looking just to see the house for expat, and the what you call it, the deed, no, the lease,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. The
The
lease.
they sent the person wanted to take it, so they sent the realtor a blank lease. But they was trying to deal with me at the time, and I'm like, no, I'm not the realtor. You can't deal with me. I'm just here to look at the property. I'm not the
Yes.
realtor. And they was trying
Yes.
to deal with me because they knew I didn't know what I was doing. Right? I'm like, nope,
Mhm.
not gonna deal with me. That's the one you have to take care of. The realtor has it. But what they was trying to do was they sent her a blank lease. It was totally blank. Hadn't filled anything out. So it was some shady stuff going. And she goes, hey, why, and they wanted her to sign, wanted the person that she was representing to sign the lease. And we're like, no, why are we signing a lease when nothing's written on it? I said, no, you gotta, her thing, and this is why it's so important to get somebody that's on the ground so that they can check the stuff out. What if you didn't know and you sign in a way and you get here, you got a blank lease, but you sign it? No, we have to fill that stuff in. And it was a scam. It wasn't, it wasn't their house. They were showing a house that didn't even belong to them. So how would I've known that? How would I have known that? I wouldn't have. So it is good
Yeah.
that you do have a person that you're working with that you could trust, that's going to cover you and make sure that everything is good. And you're not, spending a whole lot of money, because what if that person had to send money to them for a deposit, which I think that house is like 1,500. So they, what happens when they get here,
Yeah.
no house, that's $1,500 gone, and somebody's mad,
Yeah.
because sometimes we want to do
Yeah.
it the cheaper way, and sometimes the cheaper way is not always the best way. I know it helps our
Exactly.
pocket,
Yeah. Yeah.
but to have that realtor to make sure that realtor, but you also have to watch them too, because you can always go down on the price. You can always, kind of negotiate. Never, if they say a house is 15, hey, would they go down to 1,000? You always negotiate, because it's always negotiable. Always think about that. Okay.
Yes.
So did you have
Yes.
any last words or remarks that you want to um, talk about? The anxiety? You did mention that, and then I know this is our last question. You talked about the anxiety part of it,
Yes.
and I know that for me, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna get me a therapist. Because I think sometimes you do
Yeah.
need someone to talk it out, because this is a big deal. People don't understand when you are changing your whole life. Visiting, yes, but you are not visiting, you are coming to stay. So I think that is so important to maintain a therapist, from home, maintain a therapist. So at least for 6 months of your at
Yes.
least 6 months of your move. That way you can have somebody to kind of bounce ideas off. Hey, I'm feeling this kind of way. Is that normal? Well, no, it's not. This is what you need, and then that person will kind of walk you through some things. But I'm telling you, it's a big
Yeah.
deal to move. You're leaving family, you're leaving kids, you're leaving your dog, you're leaving your car, you give everything away, you're leaving your home. So yes, to have that person, a therapist, keep that therapist. Do not give that therapist up. I think it's so important. And remember, we
Yeah.
are here
Yes.
healing. So for me, it looks different, because for me it was so different, and I was noticing a pattern that I had started, but I didn't understand it was a pattern until something else happened, and I go, why am I doing it, or why was I thinking that way? But it was the transition that I had made, that I didn't even relate that issue to that problem, or that
Yeah.
scenario. I had just, because
Yes.
didn't even put two and two together until I said, wait a minute, hold on, what is going on here? Let me back up. Let me do some, evaluating of my mental to see what exactly is going on and what's happening in this situation, because this situation
Yeah.
was related back to something else that I had, left and dealt with in the States. So yeah, so let's really talk and think about that the healing part of it, which is a really big deal, because you have to understand we were really traumatized while we were in America. We
Yeah.
were really traumatized. So what are
Yes.
your thoughts on that? You can leave your um, ending remarks, your last words.
Yes. Well, for me, like I said, I was cautiously optimistic.
Mhm.
So I came here feeling like, I don't know how I'm going to feel, or I didn't put a whole lot of deep thought into that. I had so many other things I was focusing on. But the first week, I kind of slipped into a slight depression. I was very overwhelmed, and, um, you know, I didn't I didn't know what to do. I was here in this place. I just didn't know what to think about it. I didn't have transportation at that time, and I didn't know how to get transportation. There was so much I didn't understand. And um, I actually closed up all my curtains and turned on my favorite movie and just ate munchies, and it was quiet all day because I didn't know how else to respond. You know, um, I do know somebody that I grew up with, and she is actually a nurse practitioner. Her and her husband are missionaries, and they just recently left the same time I did to permanently live in the Philippines.
Oh,
And
wow.
she reached out to me and she said, I really want you to pay attention to your mental health. And she gave me a chart of all the different stages of cultural shock and what that would look like. And, you know, um, I would
I'm gonna
say
need,
that
I'm gonna need you to
part,
email that.
yes, I will. And I knew exactly when she sent the chart, I kind of knew where I was at. I wasn't real comfortable sharing that with any type of graceful guidance followers at that time or any family members, just because um, initially I got a lot of, oh, I'm so sorry you're feeling that way. And a lot of like, almost like I was a victim or I needed pity. And I didn't, that really wasn't the issue. The
Yeah,
issue was accepting where I was at. And um, really, I would call it a type of a grief. You are
yeah,
mourning loss, even though
yes,
we left a lot of traumatic things that, I call it biological warfare on our brains, um, that we kind of left that. Um, it was a grieving process for me. I'm still in that grieving process. It's almost like, you're, when someone
yeah.
dies out of your life that you're close to, I would equate
Mhm.
it to that. And that's my experience. Someone else might not feel that way coming here. They might be like, I am living my best life. I do not know what you're talking about. But for me, that's been the reality. I'm still grieving just small things like just being able to just buzz down to the store and get my favorite potato chip or meet up, just the way we do, having our lives, mourning the loss of a life and that you once had. And I'm not where I was with that grief, but I find that I go in and out of it now. Where I do express that and I need to be free to feel the feelings. That's one thing I learned in recovery many moons ago. I did Celebrate Recovery. Um, and that was one of the first books we worked through was Denial. And it said that the first page, it said, when you deny how you feel, that you're actually denying the Most High. Because
Oh wow.
we have to be able to acknowledge how we feel in order for him to actually work in our lives appropriately. If we can't say, I feel this way, and people are so quick to cover it up with scripture or just get strong or just do this or God called you to do this, you're going to be okay. And it's like, well, when you talk to missionaries and you read their books and um, that these feelings are real, even though you're supposed to do something, doesn't mean you're going to be happy about it every single day or that it's going to feel good or that it's going to be easy, because it's not happy every day. And again, it also depends on why you came here or why you're coming to another country or what your circumstances are. I'm also not married, so I came here without a spouse, and so that can make a difference in somebody's experience too. You don't have somebody at night to sit what do you want to change? And even though I'm here with my son, he is still young and can contribute to conversation, but not in a lot of ways. So,
Right.
that's what I would say about the anxiety. And like to your point, people are people, and I am finding that out. Um, it the topography of it just might look a little different, but the spirit is still the same.
Right. 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 That's so true. But I really appreciate you for coming on and just sharing this because I think this is such a great conversation because a lot of people aren't talking about this. We're so busy trying to, oh my God, it's a great experience and, who. But let's talk about the emotional. Let's be real about it. Let's talk about the emotional side of it. When you leaving your family, you're leaving your home, you're leaving, your familiarity, right? You're leaving everything and you're learning how to walk all over again. You're learning a new life. You're learning a new
Yes.
culture. You're learning, you're seeing some men here and you go, well, chivalry is dead because they're running you over, and you look at them like, wow,
Yeah.
okay, holding the door or not.
Yes.
Okay, because they want you to hold the door for them. And I'm like, well, dang, but that's a story another day. But you're in a Muslim country.
I think
So you have to
personality
understand that
is
too.
huge.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think personality has a huge play in this. And in fact, I was listening to another expat group who are stationed in Albania, and
Okay.
one of the young men, a younger man, he's a little bit younger than us, but he's been in Albania, and he's a black man for 7 years. And he made that point, and I said, that is absolutely true. A lot of it is personality too. This
Okay.
honestly, this isn't for everybody, even
Yeah.
though. So that's why I kind of mentioned that I was okay with doing what I was doing. I was building what I was building in the States. And
Yeah.
I love adventure and I love to travel and I like to learn about other cultures, but I wasn't thinking about doing it quite on this level.
Yeah. I
So
know, huh? But you know
yeah,
what? I can't say
it
it
is
for me. I always
personal.
wanted to travel. I love to travel. And I knew that when I retired, I was going to retire in another country. I knew that. But I didn't know
Yeah.
what came with it. Like I said, we don't know
Yes.
what we don't know. You don't even know what questions to ask. Even if you're in the group, you still didn't know to ask about the emotional side of it because you didn't even,
Yes.
nobody talked about it. So you didn't even know that you were depressed. You didn't know that you were going to go through a depression when you got here, I'm sure. You
Yeah.
just felt that, man, you got up one day and felt icky and just closed the curtains. And then you thought, well, why am I doing this? And I had dealt with some things another way. And I was like, why am I doing that? And I had to really think about that and revert
Yeah.
it back to, okay, this is, dealing with some healing, dealing with some
Yes.
trauma that,
Yes.
America, that we face in America. And, when you move and you change your whole lifestyle, everything is different. Everybody is different. People don't, hear me going to a therapist here would be totally different. I don't even think that they would even understand us coming from America because they didn't face that. They would probably look at us like we crazy. We told them
No,
some of the
they
stuff that
wouldn't.
we faced here. They wouldn't know how to deal with it. But
Yeah.
that's why I say, well,
No,
keep your therapist face for now.
they
Yeah.
um
But I appreciate you for
you know,
coming. Go ahead.
and I would agree with the therapy thing too. So yeah, we have a lag. Um, just
That's
so you know,
fine.
we have a lag. Um,
That's fine.
I was, uh, yes, I think having a therapist is necessary if you feel like you need to go that route. Because this has been so much change, one of the things that I did go through, if I can be transparent, is I started having feelings and thinking about things that I had long forgotten, that were feelings that were stirring up of that were years ago, you know, um, and having to walk through again, it's loss, it's grieving loss, and that was my own personal path. I was thinking, I'm like, why am I thinking about that, and it was just stuff that, no, that's been dealt with, but still it rustled up a lot of deep things for me, just this type of transition, even though I knew I was
Yeah.
doing the right thing.
Yeah. Because you can know that you're doing the right thing and know that you're being obedient and know that you were led to leave and still have to deal with the repercussions of leaving, of other stuff.
Yes.
You talk to your kids every
Yes.
day and you used to get in your car, hey, I'll be there, in an hour, hey, and you were able to see and talk to them, but a little different now. When you can't go by there and, play with your little grandbabies or hug your
Yeah.
daughter and say, hey, but,
Yeah.
but you have to understand, um, this was something that we needed to do. It's still about
Yes.
healing. It's about us being obedient and doing what we were led to do. And I'm sure a lot of
Yeah.
other people are led or will be led to do the same. And we're just putting this out here as a map, to help you to know what's coming and, for you
Yes.
mentally, emotionally, how
Yes.
can you handle
Mm.
your move abroad emotionally? How do you handle the emotional part of it? Which is a lot of people
Yes.
don't even talk about. So I think this is an amazing conversation, and I do appreciate you for coming. I don't want to make it long,
Yeah.
drawn out, but I do appreciate you so much for coming and just
Yeah.
appreciate the person that you are. And anytime, just give me a call. I'm here,
Yeah.
and we're gonna hang out and do some things. But I appreciate
Yeah.
you for your honesty and your openness. Because some people, don't want to come on here and tell people how I'm really feeling, but you're being
Yeah.
honest, and you're helping other people that's going to come and going to deal with the same stuff, and they'll listen and they'll be like, man, I remember that lady said blah, blah, blah. And that's what that is. And then you're helping them to recognize it even when they go through within their own lives. So I do
Yes.
appreciate for being so
Yes.
transparent.
Yes. This is a vulnerable experience. You make yourself vulnerable, and that's very scary. Especially at our age, as you get older and after you hit over 50, you're like, I don't know if I want to be that vulnerable.
Right. It's hard. It's hard, especially when it's hard, especially, but it's doable. You just work your way through it. The days that you need to close the curtains, you close the curtains for a minute, but you got to come back out. Cassie's coming to get you. Come on out there. What are you doing? You was in there yesterday. What are we doing today? You only get you don't get a whole week. Now you get one day, maybe a month, one day a month, or one day, every other week. Those weeks should get longer and longer.
Yeah.
So you did it Monday. You can't do it next Monday. You got to wait till the next Monday. So, yeah. But it's and it's good to laugh. It's good to have fun. And every day you wake up and you're like, oh my God, we live on an island. And that's what I say every day. We live on an island.
Yes.
That too. Yeah, you go through stuff, but now we can put it together and understand what it is and what's the cause of it.
Absolutely.
And we're recognizing it, and that's what I don't know how to recognize it because I didn't even understand it before. I didn't even know that I was going to experience that. Didn't even know that you could or would experience it. Just didn't think about it, because nobody talked about it. So this is why this conversation is being had today, so that we can help people moving abroad in the future, that they can watch this. So you guys like and share, broadcast so that, if you have people that's moved abroad, send it to them so that they'll understand that what they're going through is normal. It's normal. But thank you so much. We're going to end now. You have any more last words that you want to put out there? You want to mention your ministry again for the,
Yes, sure. Yes, all lowercase, gracefulguidanceministries.com. And there you can see some of the things I'm doing. I actually have a book in the works that I need to get finished that will be coming soon. And you can also find my podcast on that website, or you can go to YouTube and look up Graceful Guidance and see what I'm doing here in Mauritius. And also Journey Unto You, if you are a parent and want to be encouraged with special needs, you can look up Journey Unto You on YouTube.
Thank you again for joining us, and we'll do this again next Thursday at 1 p.m. our time. Thank you, Lorraine.
All right.
Have a great day,
yes.
Okay?
God bless.
Talk later.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.